Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so thrilled to have you here for tonight's conversation, a discussion that dives into the evolving landscape of ideology, marriage, parenthood, career choices, and politics for young women today. I'm Latasha Scurry, and I'll be your host as we explore these important topics with an incredible panel of voices. All of my panel guests are here to introduce themselves tonight. So let's get started. I'm going to bring them on the screen. All right. All right, let's start with my first panel guest. Go ahead.
Hi, and I am a young who has lived in the Florida area for approximately 20 years now. I guess I'm
Okay.
Currently, I'm a fourth grade teacher. I teach at University in Tampa County. I've been teaching for about 4 years. But I've been married for 20 years. In Burton Town. We have a lot of children. Only child. On this family, and we dive into questions that Latasha makes for us. I'm
Okay.
And I'm excited to get a brother and a cousin. So this is nice thing.
Thank you. Alyssa, nothing? Okay. 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 I'm getting a little bit of echo back, but I'm going to to cancel that out. Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. All right, so we had my daughter Chase. We lost her. They're having a little bit of a storm in a different part of Tampa, Florida. She is working to get back to us. She said she'll be back in a few minutes as soon as she can. She got to let that lightning let up before she jumps back on because it's interfering with her connection. So as soon as she pops back on, she can come on and introduce herself. All right, we have our next panel guest, number 3.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Shanae Robinson. I am the Director of Resident Life here at the Bowles School. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. In my mind, the premier private school to be at in the North Florida. So I got to give a shout out, go Bulldogs. I am an educator, scholar, practitioner, and culture curator of multiple spaces for students and for fellow young women in leadership. So I am extremely excited to sit in this panel with mothering and daughters and just really feeling the space within our womanhood because it's things that I enjoy to be a part of. So thank you for having me.
All right. I'm sorry her mother could not be here, but we're glad to have Dr. Robinson here. All right. Thank you. All right. Next guest.
Well, hello. My name is Madison Davis, daughter of D. Helena Davis. I am a full-time college student. I'll be finishing up my university pretty soon here. I'm also a businesswoman, boss lady, and just ready to get my degree.
And I am so glad to have my panel here. We have a array of ages here, and that's what is going to make this a great conversation for us tonight. So with each of them, they bring unique perspectives and invaluable insights to our discussion. This conversation is more than just a dialogue, though. It is an opportunity to reflect on challenges, opportunities, and choices that shape the lives of young women. Whether we're discussing ambitions, family, or societal expectations, our goal is to foster an open, respectful, and thought-provoking exchange of ideas. So with curiosity and open minds, feel free to say whatever, just be respectful. Let's dive in. Okay, guys, let's dive in. So, Shawnee, since you have a daughter here, I want to start off with asking you this. What core values did you try to instill in your daughter?
Well, I definitely, try to instill in her, having pride in herself and and knowing that she's a strong Black girl, and having confidence in who she is, because especially she's a child of social media generation. So she has a lot of influences that are outside of the household. So I try to make sure she's comfortable with who she is. So even though she's seeing all of this is coming at her so fast and, quickly, she's strong within herself. So she doesn't easily become influenced by that. But she has a strong sense of who she is so that she won't fall prey to all those things that can, they can fall prey to on social media. So I kind of make sure she, like I said, confident with herself, and hopefully that will keep her engaged as she goes throughout life.
All right. Next, I hate to stop you just right now, but I'm going to give my next panel guest who's just arriving, Miss D. Helena Davis. I'm going to pop her on the screen and let her introduce herself. And I had to say D. Helena Davis because that's what her daughter named her as. Hi, Miss Davis. Your daughter said she is the daughter of D. Helena Davis. Okay, so just wanted to let you know that. Okay.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly fine. You just give us a little brief introduction of yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Helena Davis. I am the mother of Madison Davis, who is 20 years old. She's our youngest of 4. And I don't know. What else you guys want to know about me?
What do? You're obviously married.
Actually, I'm rushing. I'm sorry I was late. I'm just coming out of court. I am a court counselor for kids in the diversion program. So I keep your bad kids out of jail.
All right. Yes, our misguided kids. That's why I try not to call them bad. I say misguided. Okay?
No, ma'am. Them children is bad.
You can say that. Okay. You can say that. But it's good that we're all educators here. And you might be in the courts, but you educate as well. And the first topic question that was posed, and Shawnee gave a great answer. She was saying that how I said, what core values did you try to instill in your daughter? And she was stating that this social media world, she's trying to aim that she is a young, beautiful Black lady, that she can carry herself in that sense and not have to feel inferior to anybody else and not fall prey to that nonsense on social media. So anybody else want to add to that conversation there? Mothers, I have you daughters coming along. Mothers, you want to add to that conversation? And great answer, Miss Johnson.
I would say one of the values that I've tried to instill in her is a sense of peace within self. Mm-hmm. Like not allowing external people to disrupt your peace. That is a lesson that I personally had to learn in my adult life. So I prefer to kind of put it on her now as a young lady who during this time, it's so different than how we were raised. Mm-hmm. Having a sense of peace about yourself, being able to maneuver and just knowing what the right people are to have around you, having your circle of people, because we can't call everybody friends.
Right.
So that's a big thing that our younger generation of kids don't really know how to navigate through. Everybody is not your friend.
And they make friends with, and I had a young lady, 3 weeks. This is my best friend, baby. No, it takes a little bit longer than 3 weeks to recognize that that's your best friend. And yeah, she could eventually be your best friend, but to be a best friend, you got to put them through that test. Now, Dr. Robinson, your mother is not here, but I know you know the values she tried to instill in you.
Yes. So, I mean, what didn't she instill in me? That is a woman that doesn't stop talking. So she taught me a lot. But I think the values for me that she taught me is work hard. Always love yourself first. Don't let any outside person or thing define Trinae. And that was really hard, especially I'm 28, so coming into leadership, it was like, you're already Black, you're already a woman, it's going to be hard regardless, right? But how are you going to manage yourself? Because you can't manage how other people are going to treat you. You cannot manage how they're going to react, but you can manage yourself. And being comfortable with leaving. So if you don't like it, go. I never felt like, whether for a relationship or a job or school, that I had to stay just because. She's like, you don't like something, you go. You don't like this, you go. So for me, I always felt like I could not only do it scared, but do it confident, do it unsure, just do it, but do something. Right. And make sure that you're in that room and you feel that impact wherever you go.
Something you just said resonated with me. Just go. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised loyalty. You had to stick somewhere and stick it out. I don't care if you're the last man standing. You have to be the last man standing. And that's just what my parents did. And everybody's different. I can't say that was wrong. For them, that's what they felt like they were doing right. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what they felt like they was doing correctly. But that's how I was raised. Like, you had to be loyal to your friends, to your job, to everything. And nowadays, my own kids don't have that sense of loyalty. Even though I tried to, they don't have that sense of loyalty to anything. And I think that's a generational thing. Young people, I know you know the values that your parents tried to instill in you. What's the one thing that you take away, my two younger ladies, in the things that your parents tried to show you coming up? Anybody want to comment on that?
I would have to say, like, kindness, always being kind to someone is, like, really important, especially to me. I feel like just a small, like, act of kindness can change someone's day. So I feel like that's really important to show, especially like now. So I think kindness is really important.
Okay. If everybody just did that, then this world would be a kinder place. But everybody doesn't think like that. Everybody does not think kind. Prime example, cyberbullying, social media, these cell phones. Give people a platform to be mean to you. And then they can hide behind it. You know what I'm saying? One thing that what they don't realize is that once it's out there, it's always out there. And you cannot get it back. Once it hits the World Wide Web, you cannot get it back. And people need to understand that. And young people, Madison, you can chime in at any time. Know this. We look at social media when it's time to look for you for jobs. I go to people's social media. You cannot be in education, hoochie coochie on the screen. You just can't. And I do know that other jobs do that. I have a brother that is in corporate America. And one of the things that he does, he talks about is they don't look at people's social media. It's like, oh, we might want to rethink this before we hire this person. And you thought it was innocent when you were in college and drinking and bombing, but now they're looking at that for your career, and you just failed the test. So be careful with that in this electronic society. All right.
And Tasha, let me just piggyback really quickly on what she said about being kind, her kindness. I appreciate that she's kind, but I also try to let her be reminded that don't let that be your weakness. Don't let people take your kindness for a weakness, because she's very emotional. And when somebody, she thinks she's being kind and somebody else is not giving her the same kindness or showing her the same level of respect, it's hurtful to her. And I told her, everybody doesn't think like you. Everybody doesn't do the same thing that you do. So you can't take how you would treat somebody, how they're going to treat you. You just have to understand that, if you want to be nice to that person, then you just do it, and don't expect that person to do the same thing that you did, because that is not always going to happen. And so that helps with her, because she can tend to get her feelings hurt really quickly because she's being too kind to someone.
As someone who, I'm still kind of a shy individual, but that's just how I came up. My parents they weren't out there like that. They're much older, so it's a little bit different for me. I had to learn, not really a difficult lesson, but something that it goes against the grain for me, because I was always taught to be kind. Over anything else, you be kind to someone else, because you don't want them to treat you terrible. You want to be treated with respect. So down the line, in college, whatever it may be kind, but don't let them walk all over you.
Yeah. That is a good one. And people they do seek out your kindness for weakness. They smell it. They especially when you go to college, they call it fresh meat. They smell that you are green and naive and try to do what they can to walk all over you. All right, so I'm going to switch subjects right now. We're going to go to that little fun subject called marriage. Mm-hmm. That fun subject. And I'm glad we have Dr. Robinson. She's not married yet, but there are perspectives out there. So what advice do you give your daughters on relationships and marriage? Because, like I said, we tend to tell our kids something, but what my parents taught me, I didn't do that route. I did some of it and I left some of it. So what are your advice to your daughters?
Well, I would actually like to hear my daughter answer that question first.
Oh, she put you on the spot. What?
Well, no, really, because I want to make sure that I'm conveying the right message to my daughter. So I want to know, I know what I preach. I want to know what she's received from it.
Okay. Madison, she put you on the spot. You got to answer that question. Mom said, how do you
feel about marriage?
Since I was a little girl, it's always been learn your people first. Don't just jump right in and immediately assume that's the one for you. You're immediately going to get eloped later. Like, learn them, figure them out first, get past the honeymoon phase, figure them out. Because she always said, give it up until, I believe it was either 60 days or 90 days. After that, they show you their real colors.
That's relationships. Do you think, as a little girl, have you always wanted to get married? Watching your parents who've been married for umpteen years, have you always wanted to get married? And be honest, don't say it because mama's watching. Don't say it because mama's watching.
Right. I want her to be honest.
I've always, they've known since I was a little girl, I've always wanted that fairy tale relationship. The Prince Charming on a white horse.
Yeah.
Even now, even though I have a boyfriend now, it's my first boyfriend. So,
or
like, take it slow, which I understand. Take it slow because you never know what's going to happen. Something might change one day. Right. But of course, I've always wanted to get married. I've been writing down all the little details, putting it into Pinterest, getting all the little things prepared because that was always the end result.
Okay. Very mature answer. Thank you, Madison. All right, Mama, you got to go back to that. You posed the question, she answered it. You have to chime in.
So, as she said, it's always been, let me just say it this way. I want what's best for my kids. So if it's you being happy in marriage, as long as the person is able to respect you and treat you good and make sure that they are a contributor to your needs being met, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
If you're happy being married, great. I love it. I'm here for it. I have a 21-year marriage. It has not always been easy, but we survived it. But that could be either in relationship or in marriage, as long as she is with someone who can respect her and treat her well, whatever she chooses.
Okay.
Now, does her mama want a wedding? Yes, she does. But if that's not what she chooses, okay.
You have to be okay with that. All right.
Yeah.
Lissa? Well, Shawnee first. Relationships. What advice do you give her about relationships and marriage? And anybody in that's watching and want to chime in and ask a question, please, or pose a comment, I thank you for participating with us. All right, go ahead, Shawnee.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Lena said. I do tell, Alyssa, as long as you're happy, as long as the person respects you. I mean, and I try to lead by example, with her father and showing, what our relationship looks like and what she should expect from a relationship or from a partner. So, we try to lead by example. And I do, like I tell her and I'll tell anybody, marriage is one day at a time. Every day is a new day with a marriage. It's not going to be perfect every day. You're not going to, that Prince Charming comes with some baggage or comes with some issues. So even though you get the Prince Charming, there will be some days where he won't be charming. So you have to go with the good and the bad on that with a relationship. So, and know your flaws because, sometimes I think I'm perfect and I know I'm not, but, you can't tell me I'm not. And, so I just try to let her know, just make sure the person respects you, and treats you the way you want or you should be treated. Do not lower yourself for someone else.
Okay.
Always, know who you are in a relationship. Do not try to accommodate.
Right.
Yes, do not lose yourself to appease someone else.
All right, Dr. Robinson, you have not made that jump yet, but you have two strong people that I know that you have been examples for you. Talk to us.
So I knew I wanted marriage, like what Madison was saying about like the Pinterest board and like, yeah, girl, I got it too. We could share at some point. But for me, I knew not to settle. Like I see the way that my dad takes care of my mom. I see their partnership. I mean, this man has put a red bow on the car and surprised her. There's just so many things that he's done. He prays every morning, every night for our family. So I just started dating somebody. I don't know if he's watching this, but hey. But with that
too, Mommy showed me the picture. Woo!
Yes. And part of that was I knew at 28, I knew what I wanted and I knew not to settle. I had a lot of situationships. I had a lot of, he looked good and that's about it. So for me, my parents gave me that level of discernment to know how to look for red flags. How's his life with God? So I started asking myself questions. So when we started off and I go, how's your relationship with God? If that boy was like, well, nope, that ain't gonna work. The first thing I noticed about the guy that I'm dating, I ain't touch my purse, I ain't touch a bag, I ain't touch a door. Same way that my dad treats my mom. So I was like, yeah, that's where it's at. And not that we're going to get married. But I knew that he had the qualities of a husband. So as much as I was preparing myself to be a wife, I have to prepare and see and have discernment of what I want my husband to be. And they were very clear. You're a successful Black woman. You have the education, you have the job, you have the money, you have the finances. You have to make sure that you have a partner that's equally yoked. And that stays at the forefront of my mind as I am dating and going through this process with this man. I have to think about all those things, right? So they're very strict. They know about them though. So that's progress because I have not introduced any man, any partner to my parents at all. So we are on that step, but I think I avoided a lot of heartbreak. I avoided the having, children at a young age. I was able to say, nah, you trying to trap me. Oh, nah, you trying to do this. Like they gave me not only the real talk, but the real love that I needed to navigate relationships in my 20s.
You know what? Can I chime in there for one quick second? Because I want to ask her a question.
Yes.
As a mother, everything that you just said is something I want to make sure that I convey to my daughter. But I often don't know if that message is what I'm giving her.
Mm-hmm.
I think I shield her, trying to protect her from a lot of stuff instead of letting her experience some things, but giving her the same exact verbiage that your parents gave to you. I sometimes feel like, am I covering all bases? Am I making sure that she is aware of her self-worth in a relationship? Do I instill in her that you have to be your own individual, even in a relationship? So it's like, in your head, you think you're telling your kid all of this stuff, but is she really getting it? Is she
Is she
processing
listening?
the stuff that you're saying? Because it's a lot. It's a lot to give these girls to be prepared for going out there to deal with what's out in the world. It's a lot that we have to arm them
And
for.
you have my mind racing because I there's this one young lady on social media who I guess she was hurt by a football player or somebody, you know, living that fast life, and she went and got all these BBLs and all this plastic surgery, and now walks around and says how other people hate her, and I'm just looking like, no, you hate yourself, because if you have to go change your body because a man hurt you, then you were never happy with yourself. And so I wonder, with all the social media pressure that these kids have, it is hard to find self-love, because we're painting an image now that girls have to have big breasts, big butts, tiny waists, and chicken legs. That is not the look for everybody. That is not. And I don't want our girls to fall prey to that. But I'm going to chime in on this because I have 4 brothers, and my mom talked to me not at a young age. She didn't start talking to me until I reached college. So what information I got from my neighbors, or I saw the things that from them. I wrote down what I liked, and I wrote down what I was not going to take, okay, from my parents' relationship of 49.75 years, okay? But two things that my mom used to say to me, she said, baby, and people thought I was being fast. No, I was listening to my mother. My mother said, you are not going to meet everybody you date. I mean, you're not going to date everybody you meet, and you're not going to marry everybody you date. She said, I want you to have fun. I want you to see what's out there. She said, don't be so quick to settle down with the first guy that come and smell you. Don't do that. So I took her advice, not knowing what she was setting me up for. The image that, oh, she just like guys. My mother told me no. And I think it was due to her experience of marrying one person that you love, and they hurt you. You understand what I'm saying? So this was the conversation I had, and I didn't get it until I was in college. And so, and the other thing that she used to say to me, and I think she was talking from experience, is love doesn't hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. If you don't feel good in that relationship, it's not going to be good. And so with those 2 things, I did what mother told me to do, and it was perceived as, oh, she's fast and she hot. But I don't have to explain. One thing about me, I'm very confident in me. I ain't got to explain nothing to you. Zero. I don't owe you an explanation. But what I did take from myself is that I didn't want to be bothered with nobody who had a girlfriend. Go take yourself back over there with your girlfriend. That's messy. I don't like that. Okay. And then just go do you. If you got a girlfriend, have at that, because I don't want that done to me. Okay? And that's it. That was the only rule I had. If you ain't got a girlfriend, we can talk. But if you got a girlfriend, go do that crap over there. Don't be messy with me. All right. Anybody want to chime in before we move on? Young ladies, you good, Alyssa? I haven't heard you talk about dating. I don't want you to say anything that's going to get you in trouble with Bert.
No, she I think right now she's exploring her options and just coming to terms with people actually showing her attention. I think that's the stage she's at right now, where she's just starting to feel like she's getting the attention from other people. So she's
Now,
starting
did you
to.
know that I had a sore throat? No. So Alyssa, how you feel about dating?
I think like in today it's harder because like boys in this generation are like they're really lustful in this generation, and like that's not something that I'm looking for. So it's a little bit harder because they do stuff and say stuff that I don't agree with. So
I like that she said that they are lustful. And it's because everybody's walking around with a BBL. Everybody walking plastic. It's the girl that doesn't want that, doesn't look like that. You have a harder way to go now. You have competition that's not real, and I don't appreciate that, but that's just my opinion. Okay. Good answer. I like that. She said the guys nowadays are lustful, and you are right. They were lustful in the biblical times, but you see it more now with all of this stuff that we're able to tap into quickly. Right? Am I right or wrong? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, woo, ladies, parenthood, family. Oh my God. I'm gonna start with the ladies, the young ladies, this time. So, what aspect of parenting style do you admire from your parents? What about them being a parent to you that you want to emulate, that you want to take from them? All right, Dr. Robinson, you go first. The younger one's time to think.
This is hilarious. It's so funny. I usually wait to be called on because I don't want to talk too much in spaces. For me, I think what I want to emulate is I can always talk to my mom about anything, which is very interesting. Now that I'm dating someone, he's like, "You're like you tell your parents everything. You're like so open." And I was like, "Well, yeah." Like I remember when I was sexual activity for the first time, I told my mom and dad, and they were like, "All right, here's the plan. You need to get on birth control. You need to do this." But I never this like weird side, and that's something that I want for my children. That regardless of what it is, that you could bring it and we could talk about it. And I think holding that space without judgment is key, because parents will say, "Well, yeah, you could talk to me about it." Then it's like judgy, 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 or why did you do that? Like I appreciate that my parents hold space and listen with intention, not to correct. And then at the end, I do get advice. That still comes, but I know that I can come to them with anything, and that's something that I desire to have with my children. If and when I'm blessed to become a parent.
Oh, okay. I like that. All right. Younger ladies, either one of you go right in. What did you, as far as being parents and having a family life, what do you want to take from your parents?
Actually, I would like to piggyback off of what Dr. Robinson said. I think the most important thing now, even though I'm still a young adult, and it's not really difficult to kind of have that emotional balance between talking with my parents and still being heard, I think that's a very more so important thing to have. Growing up, it was very hard for me to convey my emotions and to be able to tell them, hey, if I feel this way about what's going on, what do I do? So being able to communicate with my kids, if and when I have kids, and letting them know that no judgment is being passed. I just want to do my best to help you and help you figure out whatever the issue is, how to get through it, and what is your next steps. That would be everything, honestly.
I'm going to chime in, but I'm going to let y'all talk. All right, Lisa, what are you taking away from that family life with your parents?
I feel like my parents are really patient with me, even like when they do yell at me. It gets to a point, like it happens over time. So I feel like they're really patient with me, and that's something that I would want to do for my kids, and be like patient and not yell at them, not get mad right away.
Okay, somebody to hear you and then respond, not just go for the jugular vein like me. I'm very responsive, and my daughters told me, and that they get up. But I am who I am, and I've tried to change. It's hard, so I just keep moving and keep working on me. But all right, parents, ladies, what advice are you giving to them? Or if you had to do it all over, what advice would you give to them, saying, "This is what I want you to take away for parenthood"? Becoming a parent. Talk to yourself like you're talking to your younger self.
I think I give my kids that I work with a different side of me than I give my kids. And one of the
Mm,
things that I tell the kids that I work with is, um, kids don't come with a handbook.
it does not.
So when you have a parent that you look at that is hard on you, they are imperfect. We are not perfect people, although we might make ourselves seem like we want you to be perfect. We
Mm-hmm.
are not perfect people, and kids don't come with a handbook, so we're kind of winging it as we go along. And kids don't really realize that we don't know what we're doing. We just do the best that we can and hope something sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just tell, if I could do it all over again and give Madison a better understanding of me as a parent, I think I come across kind of like on her. And it's not because it's not coming from a loving place. Maybe my delivery needs to be a little softer, but the world is not soft. So I feel like I got to give it to you a little hard, because when you get out there in the world, that's how they're going to deal with you. So I would just give your mama a little grace. Give her a little grace. That's all. That's it.
Okay. All right, Shawnee.
I think with Alyssa, it's just I keep reminding myself. There's two things I try to remind myself of. I keep trying to remind myself of her age and what I was doing at that age and who and how I was at that age. And I try to tell her the things that you're doing, don't think that I didn't do it too. So I know some of the things that you are doing, I did it too as a teenager. So I just want her to understand that, yes, I'm your parent, I'm an adult, but I was also a teenager. So a lot of stuff is just like fashion. It's reciprocal. It just comes around. It just comes around in a different version. So, and I just try to tell her, it's best to be honest. Once you're honest about anything, whether it's, something you did that is wrong, just be honest about it, because we can talk it through, we can work it out. Because if you're not honest, I can't help you, I can't get you through it. So I just want her to understand that, you don't have to try to get around it. Just be honest about it. And that will, that helps me to help you.
So what about parenthood, being mothers, young ladies? Or let me go back. Mothers, talk to them about balancing being a parent and a career, being a mother. Talk to them about how hard that was, or you might have had it easy.
Well, I do think that with Alyssa, a lot of times, especially since I started teaching, and she sees how I am with my students, and she'll say, "You treat your students better than you treat me." And I'm like, "No, I don't treat them better. It's just that I have a different relationship with them. They're not my children. They're my children in the classroom. So they might think I'm a mean teacher because I'm in the classroom and I'm giving them discipline. I'm giving you discipline all the time because my expectations for you are a little bit different than the expectations I have for my students. I know it's not easy getting to that next level. And so you have to work harder. Since she was in, I guess, first grade, I always told her, this was my thing with her. Do you want to be the one who gives the orders, or do you want to be the one who takes the orders? because that will tell me how much I have to continue with you as far as discipline. Because if you want to be the one who takes the orders for the rest of your life, then I won't put my expectations so high on you. But if you feel that you're somebody who wants to give orders, then there's a level where you need to be in order to get to that point. So you can't just be lazy. You can't take things easy. You got to work hard. So those are the things I try to keep instilling in her. I'm like, you have choices, and those are the two choices in life. You're either going to give orders or you're going to take orders. So you decide which one and where you want to be.
Okay. All right. Mama Davis.
Repeat the question.
Balancing a career and family life.
I've had the opportunity to be a mother on two different levels. One as a single parent and one as a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And being a mom as a single parent is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
You're balancing your life, a child's life, a job, and everything all by yourself. And it takes time to maneuver a system where everybody is on the same page. So being a mom, a single for 14 years, then meeting my husband, I became a stay-at-home mom. That stressed me out because I was so used to running my own house, doing my things my way, taking care of my kid. But when I became a wife and had to stay home, it was like I no longer control my own bills. I no longer have my own money. Even though we shared everything, it wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard. It was hard to do the transition. It was hard to be the single mother. And then somehow God opened up a door and it showed a easier path when me and my husband started to get on the same page and working together with a new baby and 4 kids and just balancing everything out. When you have a partner that you can be on the same page with, it makes paying bills easier, makes going to school easier when one takes the brunt of everything so that you can elevate yourself, because eventually that elevation is going to benefit the household. You have to have a system, whether it's a single parent system or it's a married couple system. It's got to be a system that y'all working together. I think I answered the question.
You did, but now you made me pose another question to the younger people. Look at your generation right now, and how do you think that parenting has evolved? So you've seen your kids you've gone to school with. Does it look different now than you think it was with your parents? Because I am just, those kids that sit in your classroom, I am just flabbergasted at some of the things that they would say to adults. Are you amazed at how kids act in your classroom?
It's a little bit different for me because I'm in college, so I'm already kind of with my generation, and we all kind of similarly act the same. The ones who don't, you tune out and you push in a corner. You don't really pay attention to them. But compared to now, I mean, if you look at it,
what are you thinking when you see them? Like, what's going on over there?
It's just like my mom always said, there's a time and a place. So that's the first thing that goes in my head. If you're not doing what you need to do as an adult, then why are you here? Not only are you wasting, the professor's time, your money, but you're distracting everybody else in the room.
Alyssa, look at your peers. Talk about the ones that misbehave and misguided. What's the first thought process that goes to your mind?
It's definitely it's definitely something that goes on at home because I was always taught, even if I'm wrong, like, or even if I'm right, and don't be disrespectful, just stay like as nice as I can be. So when I see what when when I see kids being disrespectful, it's definitely like something that's going on at home with their parents, or like, yeah, that's what I feel
You
like.
think first, don't you? You think of, oh my God, no home training. That's the first thing that you think of. No home training. And I see Dr. Robinson smiling. Go ahead, because you deal with
Um,
children all day long.
I do, and I raise other people's children for a living, right? I raise high school children, so it's very different. There's like two buckets, right? There's the parents that I compare to my parents, who are no nonsense. Like we do room checks here. If a kid fails the room check, I send an email to home to the parent and saying, "Hey, your child is lacking this life skill in the dorm, and we need to address it." And I will have parents that'll say, "It will never happen again." From 1,000 miles away, we will figure it out. They're embarrassing me. How dare they not have, and then I have the other parent who I call the lawnmower parent, which is, well, did Timmy's stomach hurt? They woke up late. Well, why do they have to clean their room? They have A's. Isn't that what's important at a college prep school? And I go, no, it's the whole student. So I see very different ends of the spectrum. And it's interesting because we're in camp season now. So some of my boarders stay throughout the summer and I see them in the morning. Good morning, Dr. Robinson. How are you? Good morning. They know if you pass by my office, you better speak. And I could tell the kids that are mine and the kids that are not mine, because the ones that are here temporarily, they don't say good morning, they don't say hello, they don't ask me how I'm doing when they pass me in the hallway. But it's that training, and it's that that yes ma'am, that no ma'am. So you could definitely tell the difference. We are not in the helicopter era. We are in the lawnmower era. I want my child to have no obstacles. And if they have an obstacle, it's you. You're the problem. You created an obstacle for them. And that is a lack of resilience. That is a lack of, being able to push through. And I think the parents are mistaking mental health and mistaking what it means to give support and be a soft landing, and understanding
Yeah.
that you can have a soft landing and you have to give them resilience, right? They have to know how to push through. They have to know how to understand what grit means, and that's really where I see the change in the generation from my parents to now. They're not teaching that grit.
Okay. That's a very good answer. That summed all of that up. All right, career choices, ladies. Are your career choices how are you guiding your young daughters to make their career choices? Are you saying they have to follow after you? What are you saying to them, Miss Johnson? What are you saying to Alyssa about careers? I can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Go off and come back on, and I'll come back to you. Just click off and come back on. All right, Miss Davis, talk to us.
Um, I try to set Madison on a path of, okay, so Madison was going to college, and you knew it was coming because that was the direction, the trajectory we set for her. That you're going to go to college for something,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter how hard I pushed her in a direction, for my mindset was, even if you don't make it past 2 years of college, that 2 years of college needs to be in something where you can sustain yourself. If you
Right.
change it 2 years later for 4 year degree, that's something different. But your 2 year degree needed to be something that you could walk out of those doors and say, all right, I could at least get a job and get an apartment, or get a job and save some money. But the harder I pushed, she pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
The harder I pushed, she pushed back. And it got to a point of, do you just want her to go to school, and finish, or do you want her to go to school for something she sees herself doing?
Okay.
My mindset is still on she needs to be able to walk out of the doors and be able to sustain herself with a job. And I think that way because tomorrow is not promised for her parents. And we pretty much take care. She's very sheltered when it comes to me and her dad. I don't know if she's really grasped that idea of when I leave a 2-year degree, I got to have a job or a job that can sustain me in a field that's sustainable. What I do after that will be extra. Am I teaching her the right thing? I don't know. I'm just teaching her what I think will keep her at least being able to walk out the doors and get a gainful employment. Like how you would tell a kid, go get a trade.
Right.
We don't tell kids that no more. We
Right.
don't tell you to go get a trade anymore. In that way, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, you're able to take care of yourself. We don't do that anymore. So I don't know. Help me, parents.
Respond. You heard your mom. Respond.
What's my question?
She asked her, what is she instilling you about career choices? And, she said she told you got to have a 2-year degree at least. And she said the more she pushed you, the more you pushed back. So what are your thoughts of her and her talks? And I know these talks about career choices. I've heard them.
I mean, this was during high school, and this was like just getting into high school, leaving middle school, leaving that mentality of having like, this is your 4 years or your next step before you were an adult. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did push back. I pushed back because it seems like you said, tomorrow's not promised to anyone, and there's been so many other influences from my family saying, don't go get a degree in something that's gonna make you miserable for the rest of your life. Because you're going to hate it. You're not going to love it. You're not going to want to do the work. You're not going to want to go to a cubicle every day and sit down and do paperwork for hours and hours on end. So even though I listen to it and I take certain like tad bits from it, but I still am trying to, as an adult, as my own person, I have to figure it out for myself. I have to walk my own path. So,
do you feel like you're uncertain?
I mean, I was at first. Getting through high school and even towards the end, I knew that I wanted to do something like in design, in graphic design, in interior design, something in that field, because that's my gift from God. That's what I'm better suited in. Okay. She tried to push me into medical, and I didn't want to go into medical. It wasn't for me. But even now, I still have I'm a graphic design major in the classes that I'm doing. I mean, it fits me better than a medical class would. I feel like if I did go into medical for whatever cardiology, whatever it could have been, it just felt like to me, not only would I have been miserable, I also would have been wasting the money a lot more than if I went to a career that I actually enjoy.
Now, in my defense, the reason I pushed you towards medical was because from 3 years old, you told people to call you Dr. Madison. Okay. So I figured, okay, that's what she wants. But, as time got on, the work started to get harder. More effort was going to have to be put forth to become Dr. Madison. Well, so she put that away.
It wasn't, I'm not going to say it was because it got too hard, because I've been through so many things that were considered very hard in life that people don't get out of that, and then I made it out of that. So I was 3. I don't really know what I was saying at 3. I can barely remember what I've been saying yesterday. So you just be a doctor in whatever field. It doesn't have to be medicine now. There's so many other fields. You can still have your doctorate degree. Yes, I'm a doctor in psychology, or I'm a doctor into whatever it could be. Like I have so many more options, and I can still get the doctorate if I choose to get a doctorate.
Oh, good. Look at you.
All right.
This is the little girl that I knew when she was 7, 8, 9 years old. And she's grown up and she's shy, and now she's not shy anymore. Go ahead, Madison. All right, Dr. Robinson, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
The question about careers. I mean, my dad was like, if you ain't going to college, you need to go into the military. You need to do something. And for me, I was competitive. So I knew I wanted to do international business. I knew I wanted to go to the best school. I wanted to do a lot of things. So I told my parents I'm getting a master's. I told my parents I'm getting a doctorate. So for me, education was natural. I like to read, I like to do research, and I like to be the best. And I like to walk in the room and be the most educated, period, full stop. So, that qualm I think that other people had, I just knew that this was going to lead me to that. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. And it's funny because I went for the money first. I used to work in finance when I came right out of college, and then was working with children on the community side and service, and ended up working in education. And I definitely had that belief, well, I'm not going to make no money in education. Like, God, if you love me, you would make sure that I'm paid, right? So as I navigated careers, I understood that because I said I wanted to make money, I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to be exposed to things and have a good time. I did not know that would lead me to private independent schools working with international kids and their families. So just that perspective shifted in a lot of ways. As far as just going for whatever the check and the salary was, I make very good money. But I had to teach myself that the career is not about just dollar signs, right? It's about work-life balance. It's about how they're professionally developing you. So playing the career, again, I didn't have any problems with that as far as like the college talk and things. My parents were like, all right, we're doing this, so that they became willing or unwilling participants in my pursuit of excellence on the education side.
Okay. Alyssa, we haven't forgotten you, darling. Mom, talk to her about her career choices. Tell us what have you instilled in her, and then Alyssa respond.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I told her she has to understand what the expectations are. I want her to go to college, but I want her to understand what college do you want to go to? I had her go, look and see what it is what the qualifications are to get into that college. What do you have to do to get there? So that she can understand. It's just not an application process. It's just not, fill out an application and then you're in there. They require you to take certain classes when you're in high school. They require you to have certain, volunteer hours. There's so many different things that are required of a student. And I wanted her to understand that, because it's not just, going to school here, you're in a zone. So you're automatically put into a school. And when you go to college, it's not automatic. So I want her to understand that there are things you have to do as a student. She doesn't, and listening to Dr. Robinson talk about how she likes to read, and that helped her in her education process. And I try to get Alyssa to understand how fundamental reading is in education. If you don't read, that limits you from where you can go in education. She likes to read, but she likes to read what she wants to read. And I told her, that's great, but you also have to understand that in education, there are going to be things that you have to read that you don't want to read. So I want her to get into that, to understand, yes, you want to read this book, but if I give you a book to read it, even if it's not something that you're interested in, because that's what's going to happen in education. You are going to get books that are very boring, especially when you're doing research. Stuff that you don't, care to read, do, but you have to do it. So I'm trying to get her to understand the importance of that, and just to not limit herself in just thinking, because like Madison said, there's such a wide range of things when you go into thinking, like if you wanted to be a doctor, or if you want to go into the medical field, it doesn't just mean that you have to, be a doctor. There's so many other aspects of medicine that you can get into. Law, criminology, different things. So I told her, whatever it is that you have an interest in, look and see what it takes to get there. See where you are in that path and what you need to do in order to be successful in that, so that she can understand that, what the expectations are. Because for me, I jumped around. After college, I did so many different things. And I just told her, Just figure out a career path for yourself.
And listen, I want you to respond to that because I'm going to talk to you in just a second about my career path and how I ended up doing what I'm doing. Okay. Go ahead.
So yeah, definitely what my mom said, like from a very young age, she always asked me, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? And for the last like couple months to like a year, I've known what I wanted to do, which is forensic science, because I'm more of a science person. I don't really like math or history. I mean, I'm good at reading, but I love science, and that's always something that I wanted to do. So she always asked me that, so I know what college I want to go to. And what was the question?
Your career path. What have I instilled?
Oh, and she's always made sure that even if I don't understand something, I still try my hardest to know what I'm doing. And it's not always easy because I don't, understand stuff sometimes, but she's always tried to help me to make sure I understand. Even if I don't get it, she still tries to help me. And I think that's really important.
Okay. So do you think girls your age, do they feel they're trying to pursue their dreams or they seek advice on pursuing their dreams, or they're just winging it?
I feel like they're just winging it because, I mean, you know what you want to do in life like right now, but you never know like where you could end up in a few months or even a few years. So I feel like everyone's just like winging it.
And I get it, because if you don't have that person to talk to you and talk to and guide you, you can lose focus of your dream. My dream was, and aspirations in life was to be a news anchor. I wanted people to wake up with me in the morning, and I'm spitting out what is boring news now. News is very depressing. And because I did not do my homework on being a news anchor, I jumped ship and went into education, which my mom looked at me and said, please don't, because she was a teacher. She said, do it. She said, you are so much better than that. I said, Mom, what are you talking about better than that? You was a teacher. She said, I know. She said, please don't be a teacher. I said, but if we don't have teachers in the world, then how are the kids going to learn? She said, there'll be other teachers. It just doesn't have to be you. I was like, oh, wow, dang. But I didn't listen, and I went into education. And the only reason that what your mom said, reading is fundamental, the only reason that I did not pursue my dream was because I read the wrong information. And I went in and looked at the dollar signs in the area in which I live, which was Tallahassee. That is the lowest paid telecommunications market probably on the planet. And yet I looked at the dollar signs, and I was working at Home Depot while I was in college, and I went, so I'm going to get a degree, and I'm only going to make $2,000 more than what I'm making now? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. And I literally, based on that little small misinformation, changed my major. And my brother, who is the head genius, looked at me one day. We was having this conversation. He said, you idiot. He said, Tallahassee is a low-paying market. Had you looked at some other markets, you would have known where to go to get the money, but you would have had to leave this area. And I was so done, because at that time we had this conversation because he knew that I've never talked about being a teacher. Never talked about being a teacher. And he was like, why didn't you just talk to your mother? He said, because if you would have told your mother that you would want to be a news anchor, you would have been a news anchor. Because whatever we said we wanted to be, she hung on to it and she pushed us in that direction. But one thing she kept telling me is, don't do this. Don't do this. She was like, why are you she said, you're so much better than that. I said, Mom, I'm not better than that. But I've enjoyed my 29-year career. I have one more to go. And I am going to switch to something that I think I'm better suited at. I'm not going to say that these 30 years have not been great or I haven't worked at my potential. I have. But I think that there's something that I'm missing, and I feel like I'm missing inside. So I want you to I'm talking to my younger people. Talk to your parents. Let them help you figure this out, because I'm not going to say you only have one shot at it, but you have one good shot at it. And now when you're young, listen to them, talk to them, let them help you build that career path so that you, Madison, you said it at the beginning, you're happy doing what you want to do. It's not a job. I'm so proud of Trinae. And yeah, not Dr. Robinson. I'm so proud of Trinae in doing something that she loved. Because she said, I always know I wanted to do something in international. And she went for it, and here she is, and she loves her job. How many 28-year-olds have their doctorate degrees? Like, that's not heard of, like coming right out. So I even lied and told them that you were a different age. You are older than you are, and you're 28 now. I even feel more embarrassed that at 28 years old, you know what you want to do, went and did it, and then it's panning out. That doesn't happen for a lot of people.
Wait, I want to say something, Tasha, that I really liked what she said. When she said, I always knew I wanted to be the smartest person in the room. That's the start. That's the key, to know that right there. So she wasn't limiting herself, because she knew wherever she was in life, she wanted to be that person that lit up that room, however it may be. She didn't have to use education to be the smartest person in the room, but she knew that she wanted to be the smartest person in the room. So she wasn't limiting herself. And that's what I try to make sure Alyssa understands. Do not limit yourself.
Well, Alyssa, you can do it. I knew I wasn't the smartest one in the room. I was the second smartest. So I went and sat beside the smartest person in the room. So whatever gaps I had, she filled it for me. Okay? And it was two of them. I was always competing with Maurice McCray and Trina Perry. I knew who my competition was. And I knew I wasn't the smartest one in the room. They were smarter. But one thing that they didn't do that I did is I ran my mouth. And so if teachers needed somebody to talk, I was that mouthpiece. Okay? They came and said, oh, Berta do it. Berta do it. Berta do it.
I have a question.
Because people had confidence in me, probably had more confidence in me than I had in me.
And her father always tells her, sit in the front of the classroom.
Absolutely.
You don't have to say a word, but let the teacher see your face. Sit in the front of that classroom. Act like you're engaged, because that will make the teacher see your presence. Let your presence be known in the room.
Well, when you sit in the back of the room, they already have a perception of them kids that sit in the back of the room. But I have a question. Who did y'all say was 28 years old?
Trinae.
Dr. Robinson.
Dr. Robinson. I just want to let you know, for you to be 28 years old, you have me inspired on this call today.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, literally 28 years old. I'm trying to get where you at. And I ain't even going to tell you how old I am. Just know I almost double your age.
But young ladies, this is what I have to say to you, and this is advice before we move on to our final topic. This story comes true. It didn't matter how smart I was. I graduated in top 10. When I got to college, I bombed my first semester. FAMU, and it wasn't because I was partying or whatever. It's because I did all the things wrong. And I had to find out for myself what I did wrong. I had to analyze my first semester. When you leave high school and you have a high GPA and then you go to college and that first semester is a 1 point, I think it was a 7 and something like that, you're going, what the heck just happened? Well, I sat down and I analyzed it. One, I was working 40 plus hours a week. Full-time job. 2, sitting in the back of the classroom. Walk in, go straight to the back of the classroom. And 3, didn't ask not one question when I did not understand. Not one question. When I analyzed that, I changed everything that second semester. I mean, everything. I went to my boss. I cannot work more than 30 hours. You are not having me in here 40, 45 hours. I can't do it. I'm in school. 2, sat in the front of every single class. I raced the class to be in the front of the classroom every time. And I didn't care how stupid and how long that class took. I asked questions till I understood. I didn't care if I raised my hand 6, 7, and them kids get, one thing about me, don't care what nobody else think. And them kids used to get mad. God damn, we ready to go. Why you keep asking questions? Because I don't understand. And turned around and raised my hand again until I understood. Or till that professor told me, baby, come to my office. Because you're getting paid to help me understand. And I'm not paying you this kind of money and walking out of this class and do not understand. So when I changed those 3 things, my GPA that next semester was a 3.5. But I had to analyze what I was doing wrong so that I could fix the problem. So when you're making a bad grade and going down that decline, analyze your situation, but don't just analyze it. You have to correct the problem. Okay? Yeah, that 1.7 didn't sit well with me. I actually think it was 1.2. Ooh, child, it was not good. Okay. All right, we entered in this last topic, and then we're going to wrap this thing up because we're talking about politics and social engagement. Now, this one right here, we're going to keep civil, y'all, and I don't care what your political affiliation is. We're going to respect everybody. We are not going to name call other people's parties, whatever, okay? But we need to talk politics. Parents, what are your approach to talking politics with your daughter?
Well, I'm going to start. Alyssa is going to be, for the next presidential election, she will be voting. Okay. So I try to get her to understand and be open-minded. Even though, our household might be geared one way, I try to get her to be open-minded. But I do want her to understand politics and how it will affect her. I try to get her to understand, what the outcome of elections can have on her, the effects that it can have on her body, her education, especially here in Florida, how they, the education, how they, take books out, do this, do that. The kids can't do this, the kids can't do that, or, different things that they do. So I want her to understand that, how it affects, that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And, the importance of her vote and knowing that, how important it is to just have the right to do that and to not limit herself when it comes to making choices in elections or in anything, even in school when she's electing, a person for president in school.
Yep.
Just don't vote on popularity because, vote on what effects it have for you, as far as what's going to happen in school, what that person wants to do for the student population. So I try to get her to understand that, so she'll know the importance of that.
And your vote is private, so you voted for them and voted for somebody else. You shouldn't have to lie about it. But all right, Mama Davis, what discussions are you having with your offspring?
I think with Madison, we got her engaged in politics early on. Mm-hmm. She was just a little bitty thing. When she was able to understand what was going on the news and the different parties that were involved. We actually thought she would have grown up to want to be somewhere in politics because she was so compassionate about her stance at as early as 5-6 years old. She had an opinion of who she saw on TV, who she saw running. She would watch the debates and she would say things like, well, that doesn't make sense. She's 6 years old, but she understood what she was watching.
Okay.
So she has an understanding of what's right and what things are not going to be beneficial to her, or I'll even go as far as saying our country on a whole. She pays attention to it. I think this last election, she was vocal. However, it was her first year to actually vote.
Mm-hmm.
And she was pretty proud about it. And we didn't even ask her who she voted for. But she was very intentional. She actually had us get a ballot before she went to the polls to go through who was on the ballot. Well, what are they doing and what do they stand for? And she literally had Mike and I at the table question each person what they were about. And it wasn't just for her, well, is this person a Democrat or this person a Republican? No, who are they? What do they stand for? What are they saying? I never heard of this person before. And she made sure that she had an understanding of the different types of things they should be voting for, like with the Florida, do we want to vote weed in thing, whatever it was. Is Florida for weed or what? She asked questions about it. Now, as far as I know, she's not a weed smoker, but she took a strong stance on what she felt the state of Florida should be voting for. So I will say I was pretty proud of her first voting experience.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask Trinae a different question. Do you think young women today are more politically active than previous generations?
I think they get more information. They're active in the sense of trends and hashtags, but they're not as intentionally engaged in what civil distress and collective liberation can actually mean. But it's a loaded topic, you know. This is like my soapbox to die on. But as my parents called me a Black Panther and someone that was a part of my Black Student Union, and will very much even tell my school I'm willing to die about some of these issues because I understand that my Blackness and my womanhood is inherently political, right? And what that means. And what I wish that young women understood is that your womanhood is not based on how often you post. If you're not posting about community building and coalitions, nobody cares how cute you are. I say all the time to my dark-skinned Black girls, we're not going to live the same experience. And that is fact. And it is my job as a light-skinned woman to fill in that gap for you, right? That is what allyship is. So I wish we didn't reduce womanhood to, oh my God, sisters, like great, right? But like, how are we actually being intentional in the community? And I think women have a lot to learn about what sisterhood means behind the aesthetics. What sisterhood means to, hey, you need an abortion, I'm gonna go with my sister. Hey, your man's beating on you, we gonna go move your stuff out when he's gone. You know, sisterhood is standing up for that woman who is pro-choice and not pro-choice. That is sisterhood, and not someone that is just Black. But when we talk about collective liberation, it goes beyond just the woman that looks like me, right? It is that queer woman. It is that indigenous child. It is that person on the East Coast. It is that person on the West Coast. And I tell Christians all the time, if you're only fighting for the Christian woman and not the Muslim one, your womanhood is not where it needs to be. Your femininity is not where it needs to be, right? So I think there's a lot to learn. I think they're engaged in what feels good and what feels trendy, but collective liberation is not what feels good. It's about the hard grassroots work. And I think that's where we kind of need to hone into when we talk about collective liberation and social responsibility.
Powerful words from such a young person.
Oh, thank you.
And I
love this stuff.
I literally felt that. I was like, I want to go out and do some grassroots stuff now. Let's go. Anybody in need to move out tonight? Call me. We'll be We'll be there. Young ladies, you are not off the hook. Do you feel like you are encouraged or discouraged to talk about and participate in political discussions? You may be 15, you may be 16, but I do know that there are some kids right now who are so powerful about where they are. And a lot of times it comes from what affiliation, party affiliation their parents are. They're not their own thoughts yet. Because I had a kid running around, and this is his right to do. As soon as the election was over, Donald Trump, president, he won. He's waving his flag, running through the school, and we're just like, okay, and that is fine. But in school, we can't display our political opinions. So can you put the flag away and it had nothing to do with him, it being Donald Trump. That is the rule, okay? It made other kids felt really intimidated by that and came and said something. So once the kids felt that way, then we had to address it. We're going to address it anyway, but once the kids felt that way. So as young people, are you encouraged or discouraged about participating in political talks?
Since I was a baby, my family has been like a very politically informed family. So okay. I definitely think that I will always speak up about politics because, to me, in my personal opinion, your political view says a lot about you. And I think it's really important to just like say what you think is right. And I will always feel like even if I disagree with someone, I'm not gonna quiet my voice for what I think is right. And so I just think it's really important for you to speak up about what you believe.
Okay. Madison. I don't hear you. Click off and come back because I do want to hear your voice. Politics, that is a very touchy subject. Everybody who knows me, truly knows me, knew that I had dinner with the former President Barack Obama. And when I came back to school, there was a teacher who I felt like we were close and had a connection with, but made the statement to me. He was coming in one end of the hallway as I was coming out of my office, and he said, "I refuse to breathe the same air as that person who was in the room with him." And then proceeded to say to me on a different occasion, "If you were on fire with gasoline draws, I wouldn't put you out with my piss." And I was like devastated, like, why would you say that? And it was all politically motivated because I had dinner with the former president. And that moment I said, I no longer will suffer this abuse from you. We need to have a sit down conversation with the principal. Okay, I'm not going to go the rest of the school year with you being politically nasty to me. And I say to my kids, believe in what you believe in and stand up for what you believe in, okay? Because that could have gone on all year, but I finally stood up and said no more. And if that's the only reason that you dislike me, then that's your problem, not mine. But to even further this conversation, after I had dinner with him, I began to get nasty comments via email, people telling me all kinds of nasty messages. And it became like stressed. I was stressed. I was like, reporters calling me and asking me to do interviews after, and I did one interview, and the comments were so nasty online that it just made me not want to talk about politics. But I knew in that moment I had to talk about politics. But my husband called and asked them to take down the comments because they were so hateful. People riding by my house took a picture and posted it online because I had Obama for Barack for president or something like that in my window, and you know how it's behind the window panes, the little bars in the window pane, and posted online. I don't even know who it was that said, yeah, he's exactly where he should be, behind bars, and it was a picture of my house. And it is scary to know that there are people out there who will disassociate themselves with you because of your political affiliation. And it just made me want to go harder, because why are you trying to silence me? I'm not trying to silence you. And then you're doing it behind closed doors because I don't know you, but you know me. So young ladies, respond to that. Do you feel encouraged or discouraged, Madison, about talking about politics?
No, I mean, I don't think, and I probably will never, ever, ever will. My parents, since day one, speak up for what you believe in. Do not stay silent, because if it is wrong, then it needs to be corrected. That's just period. There's nothing else after that. So no, I mean, I see protests now and I'm always like, crap, if I had like just 5 minutes, I want to go down. Let me go make a quick poster and I want to be up there. But I've been in politics since a very young age. So just being able to differentiate like what should be and what should not be and how we should all treat each other has always been a goal of mine. And to be able to speak up and do that for other people and not just myself, I mean, why not?
Oh, wow. Ladies, you have made me very proud tonight. Really have made me very proud tonight. If there was one key takeaway from this whole conversation, I'm going to do a round panel discussion. Go, Shani. What resonated with you tonight?
I think seeing the younger generation, starting with Alyssa, moving to Madison and going all the way up to Dr. Robinson, seeing the transition and how the growth will happen, seeing where, you know, each one of them start and where they end up. You know, sometimes as a mother of a teenager, I get like, oh my God, these teenage years are so rough. But then I'm looking at Dr. Robinson and I'm saying her mother probably felt the same way. And now she's, you know, can't stop smiling. So it's encouraging to know that even though you think your voice is not being heard, it's being heard. It's being heard. And that part is encouraging. Just seeing the transition, looking at Madison and seeing her growth and seeing where she is and hearing her being, you know, outspoken, this shy girl who would run in her room, just hearing her speak and, you know, being vocal about her opinion. So all of this is encouraging to me, and I'm glad to see, you know, where the future holds for these young ladies.
Awesome. Thank you. Alyssa, one takeaway.
I don't know. Definitely that there's like a lot more to learn in life. Hearing like your guys' stories that you can move. You don't have to go so fast in life. You can move slowly if you want to, and there's always options for what you want to do in life.
Okay. All right, Miss Davis, Miss Davis, what's one takeaway from the conversation?
I will say being able to see out. No, let me go back. I have to give Dr. Robinson her kudos again, because I sent Tasha a text message while we were talking, and I said, I'm so glad she's on the panel because it's somebody from Madison to see at such a young age how you are intentional about your growth. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Tasha and I talked about was our young ladies in this society now, they don't have that. They don't have this supportive foundations that we're seeing here today. Even if it's a matter of me telling you, I started off as a single parent with a kid at 21 and it was hard. But then I got married, and now I'm doing better, and I'm about to get my master's, and in the growth in that. It was hard, but I went through it. We don't have those networks really in place for these girls that are coming up now. Social media is raising our girls and telling them it's okay to be less than. Those values that we grew up with, if we didn't know how to hold on to our own kids, they would be lost right in the mix with the rest of them. But it's this generation, my generation, of parents who just kind of let their kids slide right through their hands, and everybody else is taking care of them. So absolutely. My takeaway is from Alyssa through Madison up to Dr. Robinson, there is hope. We just can't stop with our own. We have to pull our daughter's friend who doesn't have that mother who knows how to nurture her to the next level. We have to pull those kids that you see at your schools who you know they ain't doing the right thing, but you got to kind of give them that little nudge that say, girl, if you don't get it together, I'm going to snatch your tail. Because they don't get it. They don't get it at home. Nope. And I often, from my job, I know y'all trying to wrap it up, but I'm sorry. From my job, I get the kids who are broke, who are on the verge of going through the system. Y'all see them as they giving y'all havoc in school, but then when they get in trouble, y'all send them to the diversion program. Where I got to break them down and beat them up a little bit more because mom is not doing it. Dad is not doing it. Grandma's not doing it. So y'all keep doing as the teachers and administrators that come in contact with these kids. Keep doing what you're doing. Love on them the hard way. Jack them up when you have to and ask for forgiveness later. Come from school and they'll tell me, I'll say, do you know AP Scary? Yeah, she crazy. Good. I'm glad you know her then, because she gonna chase you through the hallways if you don't ask her.
I sure am. Crazy. But that's because I want better for you than you probably want for yourself.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But
appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. D. Helena Davis. All right. D. Madison Davis. One takeaway.
Oh, it's kind of hard because I feel like everyone made like such important like points, and they're all really important to me. But if I had to pick one, I guess it would be to.
It's okay.
I just had it.
It's okay.
The kids don't come with an instruction manual.
I ain't ready for that yet. That too, but just having patience.
Yeah.
Like with everything you do, like not only with just having kids or just being in a relationship, overall have patience, because it's going to come, and it may not come when you want it to come, but it has to align with God's plan.
That part.
I think somebody was raised in the church.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Now, I don't know if anybody else wants to, but I want to hear Dr. Robinson. One takeaway.
I'm just feeling immense gratitude in this moment. Thank you for all the praise. Took a long time to get here, but we made it. I think my takeaway is that womanhood is so multifaceted in so many ways. And I look from Melissa to myself to the mothers in the room. I guess I'm understanding that there's no point of arrival. I guess I thought like, yeah, my mom arrived. Like she has the husband in the house in the convertible, and like, she looked good. She got hair on her head, all the kind of stuff. And then I realized my womanhood at 28 is not the womanhood I'm going to experience when I'm 58, right? So I think understanding that holistic piece about it, and that when we think about the concept of femininity and motherhood, it's holistic, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's physical, it's mentorship, it's all those things. So I'm just reminded that when we're in these spaces, what that looks like in so many different ways. So it is humbling, but also very, what's the word? Exciting is not enough, but it's refreshing to know that there's not a handbook. No one just has it figured out. There's not like a secret, like sticking out on someone's hand of what to do. It's good to know that you never really arrive, you just experience. So yeah, that would be my takeaway.
Wow. I am full tonight because this conversation lasted a whole lot longer than I wanted it to, but I couldn't end it because everybody had wonderful things to say. One of the things that I'm amazed with and the takeaway I have is that I've known, Shanae, I've known these other two couples, these pairs, mother-daughter pairs for a long time. And to see their daughters who were 10 years ago this big, now are having conversations that sound like little young adults is just amazing to me. So that means that we still have parents out there that are talking to their kids and raising their kids and not letting social media raise their kids. When I go on social media and this girl says that she posts, are y'all kidding? Listen to me, 1,000 times a day so that she can get her million followers. And I'm like, what else are you doing? She said every 60 seconds she puts her phone up and just posts anything. And her advice to anybody, if you want to get paid on social media, you have to post at least 1,000 times a day. That's what we're not saying. You need to go to college. We're saying we need to post on social media so that we can get paid. But what they don't understand is that money is short-lived if you don't have the wherewithal to know what to do with that money. Because as soon as you get it, you're going to go blow it. You don't have anybody telling you financially what to do with that money. And it's cute and funny now. And I had one that was doing it, but she had political blowback from what she was doing, and she had to stop because she was like, it is not worth me not getting into nursing school by me posting stuff on some social media account. And I was proud of her when she told me that, because I was like, hey, how's it going? She said, I stopped. And I said, why? She said, because it was getting too political. What do you mean? She said, people are like, I'm posting about nursing school. They're talking about, they're going to call my school and tell them I'm talking. She said, didn't even mention my school. And the stuff I was saying was generic. And she said, it's just not worth it. And I was like, wow. And she made a heck of a lot of money in 6 months. And so I was proud of her that she was able to say, I don't need this. The money that I'm going to make as a nurse is going to take me much further than this quick social media money. So that has to do a little bit with, I think, her upbringing, her raising. But I am proud of all my guests here tonight. And I just want to say thank you. I want you to take that YouTube link and send it to all your friends so that they can recap this and show all their friends, especially if they have young daughters, because these kids need to hear that just posting on social media is not the answer. There's some intelligent people right here who are not posting on social media, who are being raised the correct way or have been raised the correct way, and they're going to still have a fulfilling life. And that's what we need to let our girls know. Beauty, that outward beauty, means nothing if you don't have inner beauty. Nothing. And right now we're raising a generation of shallow women, shallow young women, that the only thing they can do is shake your butt. Only thing you can do is shake your butt. What happens when that butt goes? Because it's going to get saggy at some point. It's going to get saggy. So I just hope that you got a backup plan, and filling it with fluids to make it bigger again at 90 years old ain't going to help you. It's just not going to help you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being on my panel tonight. This has been invigorating for me, and I do and truly hope that you share this with other people, not for me, for my ratings, for these people to understand that there's something out there other than shaking your butt, social media, and a BBL. All right. So I just want to thank my amazing guests. I want to say, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, LSC TV, Latasha Scurry on Sunday nights. Watch me. See you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, I am forever in your debt for being here. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was so great.